discipleship methods versus outcomes. Now, there's a lot of different discipleship methods out there. You can do it through Sunday school. You can do it through your home group. You can do it through a D group. And there's a lot of different venues for it. There's a lot of different methods. There's also a lot of different curriculum you can use. You can use Lifeway. You can use anything from the discipleship.org ministries. And they have sets of books you can buy, multi-volume things that you can do over a 2-year period. There are series. The problem is having material and having a group of people do a Bible study may not be discipleship. It's a part of discipleship. But here's the thing. There needs to be direction. Do we really need another class? I've come across a number of people that have said that have asked, are we educated beyond our obedience? Think about that. Are we educated beyond our obedience? Have we come across so many Bible studies that we're not even obeying what we know to obey? Why are we learning more? Do we have any personal goals? Do we have any goals that help us grow in our walk with God that are intentional, knowing that, hey, based on where I've been and where God has me now, here's my next step. And when I finish that next area of study or service or whatever, then I'm going to move on to the next one. And it's going to have me on a path to growth. Just like a child goes through different phases of school, and then they go to a team to learn teamwork skills, and then they get a part-time job to get a work ethic and some job experience. And then they go to college and then they get a job. There's different mile markers along the way to maturity. A child needs to be emotionally mature, physically mature, relationally mature on their development to an adult. And the same thing is true for Christians. There's different phases of spiritual growth and different needs at different phases as you grow into a spiritually mature person. Do we know where we are headed? Are we just doing one study after another based on felt needs? Which are important, don't get me wrong. I mean, those need to happen along the way. They're very relevant and helpful. But we need an overarching plan. We need a goal in sight, an outcome to aim for, a path to get there. Do our teachers or pastors have a plan? Do they know where we're going? Do they know what they have planned for their congregation? And it's different for every class. It's different for every church. They're at different places, and that's the role of a leader, to assess where their people are and where they want them to go, and having a long-term plan to get there. Some can shift very fast, most go really slow. So the current outcomes is half of Christians can't find answers for themselves to Bible questions or apologetics. 70% of church members don't serve. There's a lot of spiritual immaturity out there, very self-focused, not very discerning, a lot of issues that come from that, very me-focused. It's about what they can get out of something, not how they can help or how they can serve others and be others-focused. There's also a problem of loneliness. There's a major problem in the church of people just being lonely. They're surrounded in the crowd, but they're not close to anybody. They don't have any close friends. There's spiritual apathy, where people just, the mission's not taught in a compelling way. They may not even hear mission. They're just stuck in a rut and they don't care, and they just do the deal because it's the right thing to do. And about half of Christians did not share the gospel in the past year. That is also a product of what we're making as a church. The biblical outcomes that we do want, we want people to be able to share the gospel confidently. We want a strong devotional life where people are praying regularly, that they're memorizing scripture, and Bible intake. And by that, I mean you can be reading the Bible, studying the Bible, listening to sermons. You can listen to topical stuff, maybe apologetics lectures. You can be reading commentaries, reading books, self-help books even. But you also need the ability to study on your own, meaning you need to be able to read the Bible, and when something pops up that you're confused by or doesn't make sense, you know how to approach it so you can understand it. Worship in spirit and in truth. Worship in singing and lifting up God. You know, the word worship means worth lifting up. God is worth lifting up in praise, just like a ship is worth or capable of lifting up things out of the water. We worship in spirit and in truth. So it needs to be sincere, not just singing along or singing watermelon, watermelon. We need to be able to worship in spirit and in truth, be pursuing God with all we are, every part of us, not having one area of our life that we're keeping to ourselves, our secret sins, our secret pet things, but we give everything to God so that he can use that for his purposes. We need to be mentoring someone else in the faith. It's one of the best ways to grow is to teach someone else. We want to be able to mentor someone else in the faith. And we want people that are growing to be more and more selfless, others focused, aiming for moral purity, and they're generous. People who know why they believe what they believe and are firm in that with conviction. They do good works to glorify God. It's not just about spending all your free time doing your hobbies or other distractions. I mean, it's good to have some fun time and some downtime, but we need to be thinking about what does it mean to be serving God in today's day and age, and how do we get there? Well, we need to be intentional. We need to have a plan. We need to be able to communicate that plan. Now, I'm talking to leaders on this point. A church needs to have a formal plan, a informal plan, some sort of plan, an idea that a plan might be good. Then communicating their plan of here's our track to spiritual growth. Here's our track for being on our plan for being on mission with God. Here's how we invest in each other, invest in our community, and glorify God and all these things that we do. We need to have goals. Goals. Assessment tests are for SATs and education goals for kids. Well, are there any education goals in the church? Are there any mile markers that a church can have? And the leadership needs to be intentional about all these things and communicate that the purpose of the church is to make disciples that can do these things and over communicate. And some people are going to be in apathy and they're not going to care. And there's other people that are going to be chomping at the bit. So have some self-study options available. Say, hey, if you're interested in studying this area, here's some resources. If you're interested in serving in these areas, then here's what you can do. Let people be self-directed by just point them in the right direction, let them run with it. You need to have special classes. There's some things that are better caught than taught, so you need to do skill-based classes or workshops. There's other things that people just need to be aware of, so you need to offer a topical class, say, on being a spiritual leader in the home for parents, or biblical finances so that people can help get out of debt and be more free to serve God in other ways, or a systematic theology class or an apologetics class on cultural issues. I mean, there's so many things that we are not doing because we are stuck in a rut as a church doing the same thing we've always done. And we need accountability groups. We need people that are able to trust one another and talk about real issues that are going on in their life and be given an ear to hear, a sounding board, but also sometimes just people to grieve with them, that know them, that care about them, and people to enjoy life together. So consider this. Methods can only get you to your destination if you know how to use them to take you there. You can go in circles with new materials all the time. Make personal spiritual growth a personal choice. You need to decide that it's important for you to be growing in a relationship with God and maturing in your faith, and enable and equip people to grow. Let's help people do these things. That's why I created this channel. That's why I have my blog. It's why I exist, for all I care. I am passionate about apologetics and discipleship and helping people grow in their walk with God.